Bismillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of the Middle West podcast. We're doing a round table today. Do you call it a square table?
It's very round.
Yeah, it's a table is ovalic.
No, the table's actually rectangle, and we're sitting on one side.
But so this is a rounded. Anyways, my name's Thaqib Musa, and I'm joined by my co-host Asad Hussain.
How are you going to say Abdul Sami, weren't you?
Well, he was supposed to be here. So we should have started with him, but he's stuck in traffic.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam. I think he's chatting, I think Abdul Sami has just never left the house and just made up the M6.
Oh yeah, I'm on the M6.
Oh
yes. In his boxes in his bed. We should call this boardroom talk because the table at the moment is
it's up like a boardroom.
It's a boardroom table.
So it's not a round table, it's a boardroom table.
I feel very, very important.
It's the end of the year and we're working over Christmas because, we don't celebrate these holidays.
You don't take it off.
Well, I do. I take it
it's
completely off.
Yeah.
I actually I celebrate all of the. So there was some because obviously a lot of Muslims have some controversy around saying Merry Christmas, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But every Muslim, no matter what, especially the hardcore guy, they just say Boxing Day is halal though.
Halal, of course, Boxing Day has to be halal though.
Because it's sales, isn't it?
Because it provides the risk for the Muslim community.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
I don't know how many Muslim community sell electronics and stuff though. Boxing Day is...
the Muslims don't participate in Boxing Day as salespeople.
Well, I participate as
you don't go to your local convenience store and the uncle's got a chocolate reduced from 50p to 25p because of Boxing Day, isn't it? It's mostly like these big retail stores.
Do you know what? Great salesman.
Yeah,
I think you should buy everything.
I've never been to a Boxing Day sale.
Boxing Day makes me feel like... Well, I never go to the Boxing Day sales. I always shop online, yeah. Because,
Black Friday. Is it Black Friday? Which one's Black Friday?
Black Friday is end of October.
Yeah, I'm not used to the terms and all that, but I'm sure it's Cyber Monday as well, isn't there?
It makes me believe in... Yeah, so Black Friday and Cyber Monday are the
same thing, but Cyber Monday is for techs and all that.
Well, they're on the same day. So if
Black Friday, if Cyber Monday is for technology, what's Black Friday for?
No, they're all...
You go and buy a discount mattress.
It's just the day after, because it's Black Friday, and then you have the weekend, Black Friday weekend, and then you have Cyber Monday. So they're just trying to extend it to a week so you can do more capitalism. Capitalism's great, bro.
Great.
Yes, so that's the start. But also, Asad, what's your position on this Merry Christmas?
I want to ask your position first.
No, I want to ask you. Well, you were finding these very interesting fatwa on.
One interesting fatwa that you found was so it was you have someone say. Well, the fatwa said that saying Merry Christmas was haram, but to say Happy New Year was makruh.
How does that work? So
the nuances of these fatwa is
subhanallah.
To me.
I don't know. It feels a little bit like that fatwa that photography is haram, but taking a video is fine. It doesn't make any sense because a video is just 30 frames per second. Or
I think photography has a more. I'm trying to find.
Go on. Justify this fatwa.
I'm trying to find ways to defend it from my fellow brothers who take this opinion. Yeah,
because I take a very well. Yes, you're on Instagram, so whatever you say will.
Hey guys.
But I just find some of these fatwa to be a little bit frustrating. Okay, because they just when you have a fatwa that doesn't and I know I'm going down like a rationalist wormhole here. And if you reject fatwa based on only your reasoning, then you become Mu'tazili and then things are bad for you. But ultimately, when fatwa don't make any sense at all, right? Like this video camera thing.
But then you're saying that it doesn't make sense, that's based on your rationality then, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing
How does it not make sense to you?
Because
if you said to someone...
The video and camera... No, if you justify... This is why I think fatwa need to be justified a little bit. But if you're saying a photo is haram and a video is halal... What you're essentially saying is that 30 pictures in 1 second are halal, but one picture not halal.
I think so the people who wrote that fatwa don't understand the concept of video.
Exactly. So then why are they talking about video and photography without researching what it's formed of first?
Yeah.
Whereas with Christmas and that, I can get there's a lot more nuance and you'd need, I don't know, social... Because I came from a natural sciences background, so when it comes to photo and video, I understand what that's formed of, and in my opinion, whoever made that fatwa at the time didn't really understand.
How does that make sense? Natural sciences to do with photography?
Like, it's a technical thing, right? It's a technical thing of what video is made of. Video is formed of 30 pictures flashed together in 1 second, and you can have a high frames per second ratio. So like when my GoPro records, it does 48 frames per second. So I know how that works technologically, whereas clearly the scholar who said it didn't, because he thought it was all VCRs and stuff.
Interesting.
Yes.
What about Merry Christmas, though?
But Merry Christmas to you.
Happy Christmas and a Merry New Year.
Yeah, so all of this stuff, I think a lot of it is, ultimately it comes down to, if someone says Merry Christmas to you and you just turn around and go, no. It's a little bit awkward. And I think a lot of Muslims just ignore that. I was surprised that you said a Christian has never said Eid Mubarak to you.
I shouldn't be saying this, but not a Christian. I don't know if they're Christian or not.
As an atheist ever said it to you?
A white person has never said Eid Mubarak.
What if they're Arab? No,
an Arab Christian came up to me and said, Eid Mubarak. Yeah, fantastic.
So there was there's this page, right, on Facebook called Calendar Tabrizi.
A what?
Calendar Tabrizi. It's just like a spoof page. He just makes fun of everything. I think the guy's Birmingham based, but not to out his identity or anything. But one of the things he was pointing out was that basically, I think he made a funny post about how all the non-Muslims living in Dubai should be buried in Muslim cemeteries because they've all said Eid Mubarak at some point in their life, and if it's a determinant of their aqidah, then they're all Muslims because they said Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak. Oh, hello, brother. How are you?
Basically, so we can't say the same thing about Merry Christmas. You're. I always dislike this idea of the falling into shirk, like falling into major shirk. You do this and then you'll fall into shirk. It's like, it's not a pothole. It's a serious.
I think it mostly comes from the idea of Christmas and congratulating someone on their Christmas, and the idea of Christmas, where it comes from, where the birth of Christ, etc.
Yeah, but actually it comes from the pagans and that. Yeah,
the pagans. Listen, I was with a couple of friends and I rang into a radio station in Manchester.
You rang into a radio station?
Because it was on and my mate's aux cable doesn't work.
Very old
school. We don't listen to music. We couldn't listen to our Islamic nasheeds.
But why won't you listen to this podcast?
Yeah, because we didn't have an aux cable. So we had to listen to us on the radio.
What sort of car doesn't have Bluetooth, man?
Instead of Capital and all that filthy music and the stringed instruments, we thought we'd listen to a bit of late night radio talks, which is like 2 o'clock in the morning. And there's a guy called Alan Beswick on, and he was answering questions. It's like the day before Christmas.
What is this, Channel 4 or something?
It was BBC Radio Manchester. Okay. And it was like the day before Christmas Eve. And so we rang in, and he was just, people just rang in with the most random questions, but we thought we'd relate to Christmas, and we asked him about the pagan.
So you asked him if it's shirk or not?
I asked him if it's from paganism and a lot of things, for the Christmas from the religion, and he goes, first of all, the tree is from paganism, and the tree has nothing to do with the religion. So I got kind of stumped there for a second, then. So I was like, oh yeah, Alan, fantastic.
So. I thought there was normal knowledge, because I've heard Christian priests and stuff talk about this, and how when the Romans embraced Christianity as an empire, then they accepted some of the things and they took the winter solstice. But what does that have to do with anything for our conversation? Because you don't go back to the deeper origins, and I guess this is where it ultimately comes down to is, do you think something is haram because in its origins back in the day? Because if that's true, then we can't even accept
belief, though, isn't it?
But we can't even accept the Gregorian calendar, right? Because we're meeting today on the 29th of December, not frankly whatever Hijri date it is, which I don't even know. Because do you know the Hijri date? Do you know the Hijri date, you mushrik?
It is the it's the 7 you got that, didn't you?
Yeah, but my point is, if we're saying that it just by acknowledging Christmas is a thing in the Western calendar.
The Gregorian calendar was made by priests, innit? It was made by Christian priests. I remember listening to, who was it now? Neil deGrasse Tyson on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Oh yes,
and he's an atheist, like a hardcore atheist. He doesn't identify as an atheist, but he doesn't believe in God. But he praised the priests for making the calendar.
So did you just assume his religiosity?
Yeah, I did.
Well, no, I guess that's not a problem, because you didn't. Well, you also assumed his gender, so
yeah, I did.
You're wrong on both fronts.
Our dear other Neil deGrasse Tyson says that the conception of the Gregorian calendar has nothing to do with religion. It's just the intellect of the priests at the time. And
yeah, but then could you say the same about the Hijri calendar? Because it was administrative, right? They wanted, and various Sahaba said, let's start it at the death of the Prophet ﷺ, let's start it at this, let's start it at that. And then in Umar ibn Khattab's time, the consensus was reached, let's start it with the start of the Hijrah. So it's administrative. Dare I say that the solar calendar is a little bit easier to use because it doesn't change year on year.
Have you ever met a person who, like, I've never met a person like this, but I've heard of people like this where you ask them the day and etc. or when they were born and they start bringing the Hijri date up, etc.
Well,
I was born in 1411 or something
so
like that.
I know because in Saudi for a long time, so I think I'm born in 1404 or something. No, that doesn't make sense. 1414, sorry. But I know this because in Saudi they record both dates and administratively they use both.
I'm talking about in England.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
something you record.
Sense for anybody.
It don't make no sense, yeah?
It don't make no sense whatsoever for anybody to start whipping out these dates because nobody's going to understand. So,
but then surely the same argument applies to Christmas. Is, you're saying it to these people enjoying their holiday, which is lovely. They say it to us at Eid, and in fact, at my work, we bring in them samosas, which I think is a big problem because it reinforces the cultural stereotype.
Okay, let's forget about the root problem of Christianity and Christmas and Jesus, etc., etc., and it's linked to religion. Let's talk about the culture around Christmas. If you're wishing someone a Merry Christmas, then you're essentially saying to them, have a good day, enjoying your beer and your wine and your
eggnog
and your eggnog, which does contain alcohol, which I didn't know.
You didn't know this?
No, I
eggnog is like a nasty alcoholic drink that you don't drink the rest of the time because it tastes bad to it.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're giving alcohol advice to our listeners.
Yeah, but you're basically saying, have a great time getting mashed.
I'm saying have a great time doing because
I'll tell you a story.
Do you ever say happy week? Have you ever said have a nice weekend to someone? Because that's what they do on a Friday night and a Saturday night. What someone else does is none of my business. I'm just saying, you know what? Have a nice time.
You can't assume what.
The other thing is, I think that we should encourage Christmas being a religious holiday because even if you're on Christianity, at least you acknowledge God. I'd rather you be a Christian than you be an atheist.
No, but you have to understand that we left the religion to the side for a second. Talking about the culture. Like, I'll tell you a story.
Brother, you can never leave your religion.
Brother, what are you talking about? You cannot leave the religion leaves you.
It's because religion is Chuck Norris.
Yeah, what do you mean? Does that sound like Chuck Norris there?
I don't know. Chuck Norris is
Chuck
the
Norris
one
is
that...
American. He doesn't sound like that. That's more like Borat or something. But I'll tell you a story. On Christmas Day, I went to a friend's takeaway because all the shops were closed. And
so does your friend pay tax though? Yeah.
His takeaway it was open because Pakistanis they don't close for any holiday. So
Subhanallah.
He's open 7 days a week.
Work 24/7. These are the real capitalists, man.
7 days a week, yeah. And I've gone out the car and I've gone inside, only to realize that one of the customers who came in before me, his girlfriend had urinated centimeters from my car. And I had walked to my car, and when I got to the car, I stepped in a puddle.
Oh,
and
dear.
I only realized until I got into the car that I stepped in her Christmas greetings.
Subhanallah.
Merry Christmas.
So you had a very non-Merry Christmas that Christmas.
Traumatized, man. Is it this Christmas as well?
Yo, that's deep.
Yeah, it's very deep.
That is a little bit deep. I don't know why you're telling me this. I mean, this is a very sad story, and I feel really bad for you.
Like, they were out drinking and this and that, and people think that
That's
drinking's an excuse for their behavior.
I think no, but then you're isolating one part of their culture. Actually, I would argue Christmas is the one time a lot of people get together with their family, and that's lovely. It strengthens the nuclear family unit.
What do you do then? Sorry, what do you do then when you get the Christmas tree up?
Okay, so I think a lot of people who if you have Christian family or something, and you're kind of you go to their Christmas tree or something, that's fine. I don't understand people who do their own Christmas trees because, like, I don't know, I think this is getting too far. Like, we don't need to give gifts and stuff, but I'm just saying singing Merry Christmas ain't a problem. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying go put a tree up in your house and flipping wait for Santa and leave milk and cookies. Also, why do you leave milk and cookies out? Because doesn't the milk go off if you leave it overnight? No, so what you're doing is you're poisoning Santa with off milk.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to be left overnight though.
But that's what you do, right? You leave it next to the chimney overnight.
Santa's not real. You do know that.
Yes, that's my point. Is that the milk is just sitting there overnight?
No, it's not. So basically,
bro, the milk is going off.
The milk does not go off.
Bro, we need to save the British milk.
The milk does not go off because the milk is never kept out overnight. The trick is, the child will come and say, "Mommy, let's leave some cookies and some milk for our
So what you're
dear
saying
Santa
is
Claus."
these parents are having the cookies and milk in the middle of the night?
No. So basically, when does a kid sleep generally?
I don't know.
Christmas Eve, when does a kid sleep?
There's another problem, right? I grew up in Pakistani house. I didn't have a bedtime. I just slept when I wanted to. Yeah. Especially on Christmas when I'd be on holiday, presumably.
Let's make an assumption, yeah?
Basically, the kid sleeps before the parents, yeah.
Yeah. And so the parents show them, look, we have laid the glass of milk out and the cookies for our dear Santa Claus. And the child goes to bed oh, good night, mommy, daddy, and he goes to bed, and she goes to bed, or they go to bed.
Oh, very
inclusive,
politically
yes.
correct. Yes, I like it.
So they go to bed, and as soon as they go to bed, the mother or the father or the guardian or whoever they are.
I mean, not to be gender stereotypical, but probably the father.
Why the father?
Because, you know, I mean, if it were
Wait, you didn't know what I was gonna say.
if there were cookies and milk in my house, man, I'd be eating them, not my wife.
So, let's say the father will eat the cookies and drink the milk straight away. So there's no left over.
We've saved the milk, okay.
And if people don't do that and they leave it out overnight, please listen to this podcast and get some advice from a Muslim on how to deal with the cookies and milk situation.
Also, if Salta is lactose intolerant, does anyone think about? Also, what do you do if the father in this relationship is lactose intolerant?
The father?
Yeah, or, you know, whoever's going to eat the milk.
You would know he was lactose intolerant. He wouldn't drink the milk. He said to the wife, I am lactose intolerant. My dear, please drink the milk for me. She'd happily drink it.
So I think that's a very important issue that we've solved now.
100%. So we need to start getting advice.
Do you know what? Yeah, do you know this podcast it's not just for Muslims anymore.
100%.
We're
inclusive. We include the days and the Christians and the Santas and all that.
And anyone who wants to celebrate Christmas, this is how you deal with the.
This is how you deal with the cookie and milk problem. Any more problems? Just we got the email address and we'll post it on
MidwestPC@gmail.com.
There you go. Our Twitter page.
So anyway, I think that solves it. New Year, I have the same position as saying Happy New Year to someone. I actually don't.
It's makruh, bro. It's not haram.
Merry Christmas. So it's not haram anyway. So party hard. I do. So what do you think about fireworks and all that?
Fireworks.
Because I have the same thing with bonfire night, right? A lot of people are like fireworks are haram because
bonfire nights. I'd assume that a lot of Muslims would love it. You know, down with the government. Bonfire night.
No, but the thing is, if you're celebrating bonfire night, you're celebrating that they killed Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, people don't know that. That's
so
the government's trap.
So then you're pro-government, non-anti-government.
That's the government's trap.
So all the Muslim guys are standing there going, I support Guy Fawkes, mate, you're burning him.
There you go, 100%. That's the way that society has ingrained into our minds that whatever we do against them is in effect supporting them in a lot of ways.
I just lost you. See, this is it. It's such a big trick
it's
that
very deep,
I just lost you in that. I think everyone should go back 30 seconds and listen to that.
Vibes.
Subhanallah.
Vibes being emitted here.
Yeah, so what do you think about this fireworks business then?
I'll be honest with you. I've never done. I did like bonfire night once when I was a kid. And there's no interest in fireworks for me. Even on wedding nights, I don't get it. It's a waste of money. Legit.
That's very, very nice, very Asian thinking of you. To be fair, I don't really get fireworks.
Spend our money on better things like cookie and milk. Cookies and milk, fantastic. Bonfires, no, bro.
So I think a lot of people like, and we have this London fireworks thing, huge
the big
investment of money and all that.
No, the London Eye, like the
they do near the London Eye. Yeah, New Year's Eve fireworks.
And they start singing that song about what's that song? They sing it on New Year's Eve.
I don't know.
It's like a Gaelic song or something.
A Gaelic song.
I think it's Gaelic. It's not in English, but everyone starts singing it.
I think it would be good to have a Scot on to talk about Hogmanay traditions, because that's what they call New Year's Eve, right? Hogmanay, something like that. But anyway, that's that settled. So to put it in a very unfiltered terms, which actually is still filtered, but I think if you think that Merry Christmas, saying Merry Christmas is shirk, then I think you might have suffered blunt force trauma when you were younger. But you know, if you still maintain that view, please do email us. We'd love to have a good chat with you about this blunt force trauma and find out when it happened. What's your plans for do you make New Year's resolutions?
No.
Because there's a few, like, you know, Islamic Finance Guru, shout out them. Ibrahim was on our last episode. And one of the things they did was they got loads of people to talk about what they're looking forward to in the new year. I recommend people check it out on their Instagram.
There's a difference between looking forward to something and resolution.
I don't really get
I'm not saying resolutions are haram. Like, it's haram to have a resolution. But to look forward to it,
maybe it's makruh.
that's the line. Very nuanced.
Also, a lot of Muslims talk about, like, you know, even birthdays and stuff. We talk about it like, what is this? You're just 1 year closer to your death. And I'm just like, well, you know, if you're a good Muslim, then death is just, you know, when you get to see your Lord. So why would you not look forward to it?
Allahu Akbar.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, you know, I think it was there's I don't know if he actually said this, but a lot of the, you know, around Muharram time when the Muslims when the Shias talk about Hussein radiallahu anhu, who's martyrdom, they say things like mujhe maut se darate, you bring fear in me with death. You're trying to scare me with death.
We are not afraid of death.
death is the name of meeting your Lord. So next time your grandpa says don't celebrate your birthday because it just means you're 1 year closer to your death, just throw that back at him.
Even more reason to celebrate my birthday.
Yeah, and then please send a selfie with the handprint of the slap on your face, and we can put that on our Twitter.
Do you celebrate your birthday?
To be honest, I'm a very grumpy guy, so I'm the wrong person to. I have no issue with people celebrating their birthday, and now Yasir Qadi says it's fine.
That's fantastic. Yes, if Yasir Qadi says it's fine,
everything's fine.
What?
Mashallah.
Halal,
Do you know what? Maybe we should have a
candles though.
So they've started this question answer thing, and some of the stuff, especially about I really like is practical advice, right? So leasing a car and things like that. He gave some top consumer advice because ultimately he's an Indian Pakistani guy. He's
he's young.
He knows how to make the money.
He knows how to do that stuff.
He knows how to save the monies. Anyway, so you don't do New Year's. I try to use any opportunity to do like a resolution. Like I use my birthday to plan what I'm going to do in the next.
The reason I don't do it is because I don't stick to it. I tried it a couple of times.
What? So let's not make a plan because we're rubbish.
Because I'm not invested in like this whole New Year's thing. So when I do it, I just do it for like, everyone else is doing it. I might as well do it. There's no real commitment in me to like.
Yeah, but there's a lot of literature coming out. There's a lot of people talking about like goal setting and things like that, and I find that really useful to just get on that hype and then create.
I'm not like this
5 goals
the
for themselves.
Motivational speaking flex. I'm not into that.
Yeah, but then how do you make your plans and how are you gonna be great in life? How are you gonna make Assad great again?
So I see a problem, and I tackle it. So the milk and the cookies problem, you didn't know, but you watch all these motivational videos, and I don't, and I knew how to tackle it. Life skills.
Life skills,
man,
bro.
On the road, man.
So you can solve any.
I'm street smart.
But I feel like sometimes you don't really have a problem. It's just you want to push yourself harder.
It's like what's that thing called now with Lent? Is it called Lent or Lent?
Lent,
where is it the Christians they let go of
40 days before Easter.
They let go of something they like.
I don't know, bro.
Is that Lent?
Well, I know Lent is the 40 days before Easter. It's called Lent.
I think it's there's a practice where you choose something that you like or you desire or you find to be a luxury in your life and you let go of it.
Bro, that sounds like Ramadan.
No, it's. My teacher spoke about it in high school. Like she said, "Oh yeah, I'll let go of eating chocolate. Oh, I can't believe it. I'm struggling so much." I was like, "Yeah, what's it called? Lent."
Okay, very nice.
You let go of chocolate, we let go of food.
It's quite interesting. A lot of I think there are some like fast versions. I know of a couple of Hindu guys who do it, where they basically say that, I'm supposed to go vegetarian my whole life, but I can't do that. So I'm going to go vegetarian for this month, but I can't go vegetarian for this month. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give up one item of food, but then it's hard.
People do it on days, but I think that's religion. Like Sikhs,
yeah.
I think they can't eat certain things on certain days.
On certain days or something, yeah.
Like fish or something
it's quite nice, we're in a melting pot of all these cultures and communities coming together, saying Merry Christmas to each other.
Oh yeah.
So I was speaking to someone and they said at work they had to do Secret Santa, and they got the Jewish guy, and then the person who got them was some Sikh or something. So it was just all these random cultures just doing Christmas to each other. All of us were like, "What the hell?" But then so this is where I get weirded out. I know a few people who work in like 95% Muslim offices, and then they still do Secret Santa, and I'm just like,
that does make sense. Well, it depends.
Why are you doing Secret Santa?
That depends. It depends if the company is a Muslim or if the owner is a Muslim. Like a business can be run and owned by a Christian person, and it can be 90%.
Yeah, but you can't
Muslim.
impose. Like, I don't know. I don't think the top level imposes anyway. Because if you're the CEO of a company, you're probably not doing Secret Santa with your employees.
CEO, it be management as well.
Even like in our case, for example,
5% can be management.
In our case, most of the time, Secret Santa is done by the team. Like the team, the people someone says who's very eager says, "Let's do Secret Santa." And I get really annoyed when that guy.
Yeah, I feel as though everyone just goes along with it. Like,
and then everyone just goes, okay.
Oh, okay then.
And then there's always the grumpy old guy in the corner who goes, "No, I'm not interested."
Are you that guy?
Yeah. Well,
I'd be that guy. I'll be honest with you.
My first job, my first few months on the job, I joined just before Christmas, and they said, "Can you organize a Christmas meal because you're the newest guy?" And being the eager beaver that I am, eager to impress everyone, I did. And it was probably the best Christmas meal I've ever had because I took everyone to a halal place.
Where was it?
It was in Leamington Spa, some halal. Like it's a very nice halal restaurant, Indian place. And we had a curry for Christmas dinner.
Curry Christmas.
And it was great. I basically chose a halal because I got to choose a restaurant. I gave them 3 options.
Anyone complain?
No. Probably because they were afraid of. I don't know. I was very enthusiastic about it. Everyone seemed to love it, but then they never asked me to do it again. So maybe it wasn't.
So you did a fantastic job, Thaqib. Fantastic. It's the effort that counts.
Yes, basically. I didn't know. I just wanted to be able to have meat in it. That was it for me.
Well, you can have meat at steak places as well. You could take it to a steak place.
As long as it's halal, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Why do
Well,
you
I mean, we talked about
all the places for Christmas meal. You take them to a curry house.
Yeah,
Which makes no sense at all. Like, you take them to somewhere like.
So no, to be fair, I gave them a choice. So I gave them 3 choices, all halal places. One of them was a steak place, and I think one of them was a Chinese place. One of them was a curry place, and they all chose the curry place. Everyone was like, "We love curry." So I was like, "All right, mate, you white people can."
They're just like smiling at you. Yeah,
I think it was a really great
really
meal.
Engage with your culture.
And I made a big effort with the games and everything, right? So I got like hats, and I got like a
who's got to pay for the meal
quiz game, and because it's supposed to be
credit card
Christmas,
roulette,
isn't it?
That'd be a good one, wouldn't it?
Anyways, I tried. Sadly, I don't seem to have done that well, but you know.
You can't please everyone.
No.
In your case, you didn't please anyone at all.
Well, I pleased myself. I had a great time there.
It's like,
and then you know what the ironic thing
everyone
is?
is sitting around this curry house table and there's all like just bland faces, bland expressions.
No,
just like loving it.
They
Just
seem to love
smiling.
it. But the other thing that I found really ironic when I discussed it after was, on that occasion, I ordered fish.
Did you?
Yes. So what was the point? What was the point of making everyone go to a halal
in the curry
place?
as well.
In that place, on that night, I chose to order a fish curry. It was delicious, but again, it brings a whole.
I think they probably enjoyed their night, but when they saw you eating the fish curry, they're like, "I'm so disappointed."
No, they didn't know I did it because of halal. The place was quietly halal. I just said, "Look, this is a very nice restaurant."
This is very nice.
I just snuck it in there. We had an interesting convo in the last episode about halal meat though, and how a lot of people say Ahl Kitab meat is halal. So if that's true, then you can just go to Five Guys and enjoy your life.
Well, you can't go to Five Guys in Saudi. Or in Dubai.
Yeah.
Dubai.
In Saudi, Dubai, and stuff, it's all good. Yeah. Although I found this out recently. A lot of people don't trust meat in Saudi because it comes from Brazil. So they're like, "How do we know it's really halal? We don't trust the Saudis."
Isn't it?
Actually, not anymore. So I was speaking to a colleague, a friend of mine who works in a place in Saudi, and he said at the moment they're not accepting any stunned stuff. It's 100% non-stun if it comes from Brazil.
All the Brazilian meat is stunned.
Apparently, that's not true.
No,
I don't know.
It's true.
He works in the industry.
Does he?
Yeah, so he said we had to go and verify each of the farms.
Because I went on a little research project when I was buying beef jerky for
You were on a research project
to buy
beef jerky.
Yeah, I need the best quality meat, but make sure it's halal. HMC. Sorry.
Well, I talked about this in the last episode as well.
But the Brazilian suppliers of the meat, which are the only suppliers of halal meat in Brazil, the only regulatory body for halal meat in Brazil, are basically stun only. That's what I found out.
Stun only.
Yeah.
So they don't even do a slaughter.
No, I mean like
they stun and then slaughter.
Yeah, there's no slaughter by itself.
This is my point, right? HFA have data backing up that's a better way to do it anyway. So actually, the HMC guys are the ones who are wrong because they're causing.
The RSPCA would say.
The RSPCA says that just stun and then slaughter.
No, the RSPCA like 80%. I think it's like 80% of homegrown chickens in the UK.
Yeah.
Are gassed.
To death. Yeah. This is why I think the Ahl Kitab guys are wrong. But my point is, stun then slaughter, according to the RSPCA, is better for the animal. And as a Muslim, shouldn't you want more humane stuff? If HFA can prove, which they can with data, and they stand by this, that they've done research with a very large number of animals, and they've said that none of them die during the stunning. So, why would you not stun when it's proven that the stunning doesn't kill the animal? And all of the animal welfare bodies are agreed that it's better for the animal.
I think it's because the Sunnah talks about how that's the best method is zabiha.
So we are doing zabiha, we're just doing it after stunning.
But it mentions, some of the scholars have mentioned that being the best method is because of the pain. So if you say that stunning is better...
What? So some scholars say it's good for the animal to have pain?
So the issue is whether or not the introduction of modern techniques such as stunning is actually Sharia compliant. And some people who are stuck in, I'm not saying in a bad way, but people who rely on traditional rulings which are divorced of any kind of understanding of modern science they'll follow HMC. But people who understand that as time goes on, we have to be able to
No,
incorporate.
but also, this is a better way of doing it, right?
Yeah, but you have to find a way to incorporate
Yeah.
these kind of techniques.
And they have.
Yeah, they have. So I don't really see a problem with
Very nice.
stunning person.
So next time, you know, when
KFC.
you next time you
KFC's hate you.
Yeah. But next time you have your beef jerky ordering project, then
I never ordered it. Yeah.
what? So
I went like along because at that point in time I was like, I'm not sure whether stunning is.
Well, apparently South
formally-
Africa is a big supplier and maker of good beef jerky. So
halal.
yeah, halal as well.
HMC.
I don't know about that.
See, I don't know what I'm asking. I just said
exactly.
that.
We just talked about this.
It's just natural for me.
So to close off, is this your New Year's resolution to eat HFA meat? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your only New Year's resolution. So khalas, you've already done your New Year's resolution. Yeah, I think it's important to plan, and I think it's a good way to do some targets. And now let me slide this in, is in the new year, what we're trying to do with the Middle West podcast is to try and bring you, I don't know if that was smooth or not, I think it was really not very smooth. It felt very artificial. I feel quite bad for doing it. But we want to bring in some new series, so we'll have, the first one we're planning is charities, so we're going to try and interview all the charity heads, or possibly not all, because a lot of them will say no to us, because probably think, who are these nobodies? And inshallah we'll try and have a detailed discussion, a deep dive into charity and why it's done, why do we send so much money abroad, what are people's visions for getting into it, how can you as our loyal listener get into it, also about volunteering opportunities, things like that. And we'll be looking to do a number of series with different perspectives on the same point, to do like a deep dive into each one. We're very interested in further recommendations of guests, of topics that you think we need to cover, so we can solve the major issues that are, plaguing the Ummah right now, like what to do with Santa's milk and cookies.
There you go, 100%.
And inshallah, we'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode.
By the way, we're discussing Christmas now, but this episode will be released after the New Year's.
Yes, but it'll give people good time, because we've already passed Christmas anyway.
So the advice for the cookies and milk
is for next year.
It's for next year.
Yeah.
We're giving you a year's advance.
Yeah, but we think you plan. So in your New Year's resolution, you can put in how to do this cookies and milk properly. But with that, we'll close off. Jazakumullah khair. With the adhan going off in the background. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.